rookie.
Who put him in charge? What is going on?
I put me in charge, man. Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Saturday night, and you know what that means. Another episode of Next Podcast here for you. Guys, we have a crazy show for you planned. And not only that, I am excited to say that basically over 90% of the Next Podcast family is here right now, ready to give their thoughts, their opinions on gaming topics for you. I am really excited. I thought we were live before, so I actually already went through the intro. You guys will never hear that now. But we got to go into the intros. Before we do that, if you guys can, and I got to do the same thing. I didn't hit the thumbs up button yet. Hit that thumbs up button. Share this out on whatever social media platform that you use to talk games with. Let gamers out there know that we are live right now and we are digging into the deep topics. We're talking about Phil Spencer and the things he talked about with Xbox, with IGN. We're talking about the rumor that the PlayStation 5 is overheating. We're talking about The Last of Us getting delayed and possibly more. You never know. It depends on how long this show goes. But let's get into the intros. And I haven't done it for a while, so I'm really excited here. One of the most opinionated YouTubers I know always brings that energy. He was on Crossfire last night with me, and I'm glad that he is here tonight for you. My brother Knoxximus, what is up, bro?
Yo, what's goody, my brother? Always a pleasure to be here. You already know.
It's like deja vu, man.
Together, like you said, man. Lucky number 7 right here. Kid. 7 up.
Nice.
Yeah, bro. Let's get into the topics, brother. Get this shit going.
No doubt, man. And like I said, it's like deja vu because this is the point where we got before, where it's like, oh, it's not going. So, as always, it's great to have you on. You, Crispy, K Mega, this is gonna be crazy tonight.
Oh, phenomenal, bro. It's gonna be fun. I already know, bro. Everybody already knows. The panel knows. The chat knows. Everybody knows. It's gonna be on the money.
Nice. All right, next on the list, my brother Mooch calls him Goldblum. We call him the Angry Otter. You might know him as my brother Dark Optimus. What is up, bro?
What's up, man? Glad to be here. I think there's something wrong with the overlay there, but no one's showing off, huh? their. Yeah, it's a little off.
Yeah,
but
bot's having an off day. Let's let him do it.
It happens. Hold on.
I was gonna let it go, but then I was all like, it's kind of bothering me.
The Angry Otter, everybody.
Why
Angry Otter.
is it doing that? I have no idea why it's doing that. Every other one is fine.
You're fucking this whole podcast up today, aren't you?
Yeah. I'll hide it from you. That's it. There we go. It's not in that scene. It'll be in the next scene. Everything's good. Trust me. All right. Next on the list. This man is becoming world renowned for a single hashtag. Get ready, guys. Hashtag Don B. My brother, the Don.
Hey, man, it's been a little too long, right? So just decided to stop by and not stream for maybe a couple hours and hang out with you guys.
Well, you picked a hell of a show to jump in on, man. That's all I got.
I don't even know what the topics are. I never know what the topics are. So
I did put them in the DM, so you can always check that out if you want to.
Yeah, I told you pictures only.
And on that note, I got to move on to the next man. Yo, you guys might know him as a hardcore Gears head, but I will let you know he plays other games such as Doom Eternal and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. My brother, Crispy, what is up, bro?
What is up? Great to be here. Just got out of work. And yeah, it's always fun at work lately. And yeah, I mean, Gears 5 looking a lot better than it was. Just saying.
Crispy, you sound down. Have you not taken any souls today down to the nether realm?
I was waiting for yours.
You're waiting for his nether realm. Okay, I got you.
Oh, are you on a budget? Is that what's going on?
Oh, shit.
Oh, Yo, damn, here we go, guys. We're off the chain already. Yo, next on the list, this man has served our country. Yo, Dark, can you tone it down a little, Dark?
I don't mean it. It just comes out.
I know you're excited, man, but you gotta calm down, man. But this man has he's helped protect us, being in the military and stuff, and now, he's here to talk games for you. He gets into the business side of the gaming industry as well. My brother Predator, what is up?
What's going on, everybody? Happy to have the panel, almost full panel, back on here, with the exception of that K-Maker guy. But hey, man, happy to be here. We got a lot of shit to talk about today, so we'll keep this short and let's get it going.
Can you imagine if O Snaps was here today too? That would be insane. Speaking of K-Mega, I hope he's back because I'm about to introduce him, man. He is the creator of the GRG podcast, one of the hottest podcasts exclusively now on Mixer. My brother K-Mega.
What's happening? What's going on? Just had to go and run and get me some. Oh, that was so nice of what you said, a Pred. But we all know Pred is a pusher of papers. He didn't do any fighting. He didn't do shit. His wife told me. Anyway, so
his wife
so I'm just saying. I mean, look,
Man,
we
you
love
go
you.
there in
She's
the middle
talking
of
about me.
apocalypse?
Your wife doesn't talk about you at all.
I don't know if I would go there, Mega.
Anyway,
talk when she's with me with a mouthful.
Okay. Anyway, nice. Anyway, so got my crown. I heard Knox was going to be here, so I got my Crown Black, got my little lime, and got my my 7-Up. Well, I should say Sprite mixture, and I'm ready to get my our Woody and what's that? The Undisputed show on.
What?
The show with Woody and Shannon Sharp. Undisputed. That's what I'm saying.
Brother, I don't think anybody wants to hear about your Woody on this show.
No, I'm talking about the show.
Yeah,
Undisputed.
the setup.
His name is Woody, and the other dude is Shannon Sharp. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's going to be a great show, man. It's going to be a good time.
Man, I forgot. Yo, I was going to introduce you with a different introduction, man, and I forgot.
You totally forgot.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn it, bud.
Hey, you'll have other moments. Don't worry about it.
That's the pressure of pushing buttons, pulling levers, making sure that a live show works. Completely forgot. So I'm gonna have to put that in my back pocket and
Was it for me?
A later date. Yeah, for you.
Oh, okay, good. Because I am right now the man you love to hate, and I don't give two beeps
Dude,
about that.
You're not the people coming at me on Twitter though.
I am the people's champion, man. I will stand up and say what I want to say. Give a fuck about what anybody.
Somebody tried talking about stands to me on Twitter. I'm like, who's Stan? Like, what are you talking about?
Oh man, so let's have a good show, man. I'm ready to do it.
Definitely. Yo, and let's get to the first topic because Phil Spencer is making his rounds, and by making his rounds, I mean he's been on multiple shows on IGN. He's been on the Unlocked podcast, which supposedly is an Xbox show, and what is it? Console Watch 2020, which is a cheap ripoff of like an election year show. But I do tune into that because, if they have any information, stuff that I could research, make sure it's factual, I go in and see what they're talking about. But Phil Spencer, has gone on these two shows and has said a couple really interesting things when it comes to the Series X. Now, one thing I will say right off the bat, Phil, if you're watching this show, if you ever check this show out, brother, get a new microphone, man. I don't know what is going on. You are the head of Xbox, and you come through like you're talking in a New York City subway bathroom. Like, and the funny thing is they don't have bathrooms in there. But, other than that, he said a couple interesting things.
They do. You just don't want to go in one of them. they got him. You just don't want to go in there.
Hey man, when Knox says don't go in there, I'm gonna listen, man.
Yo, for real.
You don't want to go in no fucking subway bathroom.
But so let's dive in because we're gonna kind of put those two shows together. I think he said interesting things on both of them, but we're talking about the information that he's sharing with IGN. Now, let's go to K Mega first, since he's got the crown. He's got the crown going. He's ready to go. K Mega, did you check out these two interviews? And if you did, what do you think were the interesting points when it comes to Xbox, in your opinion, with what Phil said?
I only checked out one, and that was
Unlocked?
yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, the one unlocked. I didn't
Okay.
see the one that was because I didn't know about it until I was told on GRG last night. But I
sent it in a DM today, though, like earlier. I'm just saying, throwing it out there.
bro, I've been sitting here playing on a POA. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry. I mean, Fantasy Star, yeah, online. So PSO2.
I was like, POA,
Anyway, so,
like
yeah, I'm dripping.
Pet or Alive?
No. Anyway,
Yeah.
so on Fantasy Star online. But anyway, but I only watched that one, the Unlocked, and I got a lot of confidence from that. It was, you could tell that Phil was just completely at ease about everything going into into this new generation. I did like the question when, and look, it seems like when IGN does something, they should be better off doing interviews than they have their own actual shows with just having everybody talking.
Yeah, because they have to be on check when they actually have the person
Right.
there.
I mean, they
man.
should do more because it was really good. And so, I mean, and the questions that were asked, there was some, some hard point questions, and then of course the seriousness about, hey, about the situation of how McCaffrey just gone after Phil, and all of that stuff. So it's I liked it a lot. One thing I did see that Phil was just, like I said, confident. He knew exactly what he was happy about the whole situation with Mark Cerny. He was kind of confident already, but he was intrigued to watch and see what PlayStation was going to do. And then when he said that about the whole just SSD and all that stuff, he was just like, man, like, we nailed it. Of course he has to be corporate with it, and he's the nice guy, so he don't want to come out and just say, yeah, we did it, we hit a home
Mega,
run with
can I
this with the
loosely
power
quote?
aspect.
I know exactly what you're talking about when they asked him about like his confidence with the Series X and stuff like that. After the PS5 reveal. Now, he said at first, like, he was originally confident with the hardware, the team that was developing the Series X. But this is one of the things I thought was interesting too, because he said even like, and then once they showed the PS5, he said he was even more confident after that. And I think the key thing here was, and you got to kind of read between the lines, because they do their PR speak and all that good stuff. He gave a shout out to Mark Cerny and what they did with the SSD,
right.
But he said with the Series X, they took a more holistic approach. In other words, balancing
everything,
single
right.
piece of hardware, latency, all that stuff. So that was really interesting to me. So. And the funny thing about it, after Phil said that, if you notice, people are more in tune now to say the Series X has that power crown. I know my brother Mooch last night was said it multiple times, which I couldn't believe, man, because he was definitely skeptical about that. So you're into where he said about how confident he was after the PS5.
Yes, that was just telling right there, because they knew that they made something great, but they wanted to see what the competition was going to do, and then once now they've seen it, it's kind of like all right, look guys, now we can get this ship rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another thing that there's a lot of things, a lot of points that was brought up, but when the one thing that broke my heart was about scale down. The one side of me is still have hope, but I mean, the reality is there won't be no scale down. You could tell he was genuinely hurt behind it, and
whoa, you just said that live, man. That is breaking news here. K Mega admits there is no scale bound now.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I was, even on GRG, I was still being defiant, but man, the reality is that there won't be no scale bound. If there might be some kind of game that was reminiscent of it from somewhere else, maybe be a third party game, but just the whole scale bound thing, I think it really generally hurt him a lot, and that's why he made the decisions that he did to kind of hold everything close to the vest until it was ready, and that's exactly what he said in the interview. Another thing that that got my attention was the fact of, the consoles, that he wasn't afraid to drop the console even if there's going to be games that might be delayed later on, that just kind of just exudes just this confidence in this new swag that Xbox is now presenting, because they got all their ducks in a row. They listened, they paid attention. And one more thing, I mean, there was quite a few things that I could talk about, but I know that there's plenty of people on the panel. But one thing that really caught my attention was how much of 2013 lingered with him, because he even said the pricing was he disputed the pricing, which I guess with his superiors at the time, and said he wanted to have things to be more flexible coming in with the Series X, and he wanted to have the same thing happen with the Xbox One, which it didn't happen, of course. And to me, that was a telling tale of just like, hey, let's do this way, let's do that this way. So when people were just jumping all over Phil was actually thinking like we were, like, what the hell are we doing trying to sell this product at this price when we know the competition might sell it a lot lesser? So it was a really good interview. I can't say anything bad about it whatsoever.
All right,
But it gives me more confidence about the Series X. I was already confident about it, period. But now it's just kind of like, wow, this thing is going to be amazing.
Yo, people in the chat are asking Chris how old he is. Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I will let you know something about the second interview, K-Mega. A couple things that I thought were interesting in that. First off, when Ryan McCaffrey and crew, I forgot the other guy's name. There was basically two guys there. I forgot the other guy.
Damon something. Damon.
Okay.
Okay.
You talking about the other things where he was answering questions?
Second one.
The one I didn't see.
The Game Watch. Game Watch.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Two things I got from there. When they referred back and asked him if he learned anything about the Xbox One launch in 2013, he literally laughed them off like, yeah, definitely learned a lot from that, and we're not making those same decisions this
right.
time
And
around.
that was the thing too, which makes it also
the way he laughed them off, though, you could tell. It was
I didn't see that part, but I mean, when he was talking about it, he was saying, look, we're kind of eating our own game lineup by adding, by throwing so much at the gamers at one time when we could, just space it out a little bit. And that was very interesting to me, because I know everybody is anticipating, even me, is a strong lineup. But if you really think about it, like, if Halo do come out in Forza, then, and if they add, let's just say hypothetically, Killer Instinct 2 or something, right? And that's cool. That's a fantastic lineup. But again, gamers are going to can only play one game at a time. So it made sense what he said. So, I mean, spacing it out.
You got quick resume. You can play
bad.
multiple games, man. I'm saying.
Right. I know, but I'm saying, when you want to be immersed in something, just right off the bat, especially as a launch title, it kind of makes sense what he was saying, man. I mean, yeah, Phil really it seemed like he's at ease right now about everything that's going on right now, and I can't disagree with anything of
as a gamer, I don't know how I feel about what he said about, like, because they were basically talking about Halo, and if Halo gets delayed, what's going on with the console. Now, let's be real here. From everything we know so far, Halo Infinite is probably the biggest next gen title dropping this year. You know what I'm saying?
Doubt.
So
No doubt.
I don't know how
it is the biggest. Yes.
We don't know any other games that are going to be launched right now. So with that being said, and also third party about their scheduling when it comes to games coming out. So, like, I think what he was really trying to iterate there was that the hardware is ready. Now we got to see what's going on with the software, first party, third party. And I don't know how I would feel if they released the system, without that crowning jewel in there, without Halo Infinite coming out at that time either. So
I mean, I couldn't see how anybody could be discouraged by that if the fact of it is that if they if it can't come, it can't come. I mean, it's not if it can't come, it can't come. If the situation is where, if there's delay after delay, and they had time to bring the game out, and developers said that the game was ready to go, and then they still held it back, then that's a problem. But if there has been no announcements of dates or anything, so for them to again, which means keeping things close to the chest, and you're just scoping out how everything is. I don't see how any gamer could be possibly pissed off about the situation. I'm not pissed.
I just don't. Me myself, like when it comes down to it, I want to get into the next gen as soon as possible. But like I do want to play games that have that level of like graphic fidelity. Have
should they even drop the system in December if Infinite ain't ready?
I say
in November, December, whenever they're gonna drop it. Should they still
probably
release it? Well, more than likely, right? Traditionally November, but
Black Friday,
right?
man.
Yeah. Should they still drop it if Infinite ain't ready?
They already clarified it's not tethered to that. Either way.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I wouldn't trip about it because, I mean, eventually the game is going to come, and all the rest of your games are going to get up-resed. So that right there alone is it's the price of admission, because you know what you're getting. All these games ain't going to have no load times. Everybody still has a back. Well, I can't say everybody, but most majority of gamers have a back catalog that they got to go.
They gotta have something though, bro. Nobody wants to get a next gen console to play old, the old shit. And I know every time we make the transition from one generation to the other, you do tend to play older shit and remastered shit. I get that.
But you mix that in with stuff that came out for the system.
This system is a power. This system is a beast, bro. This shit right here, what these consoles are fitting to do with this gen coming up, it's gonna be unprecedented, bro. Like they giving PC a run for their money with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have that. You gotta have that killer app. And if Infinite ain't ready, they gotta have something else ready to go. And what is that?
I think you need
third party wise or first party wise.
Well, no, I think you have to take in consideration the time frame to what we're dealing with right now.
I mean, yeah, well, of course,
that's a big part of
because of that. Then, of course, that's
the big part of the question, right?
Well, I mean, that's the same thing with
context, right?
Yeah, like if let's say Sony does the same thing, I'm not going to say that it's a lost cause. I mean, and people should still get the system if the Sony's bangers are not available. At the present time,
there got to be something to play on it, even for Sony. You know what I mean? Sony's not exempt.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I know I know because there's so many other people that talk about this, but I just want to say this one last thing. If we already know that the games will eventually come, if they don't come day and date, so that and the consoles themselves, they're going to give such a graphical boost to everything else that we have. Even some, like, just imagine playing Red Dead or God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn or any of these other games, right? You know what I'm saying? Or like playing an old game like Halo 5, how much better that game is going to look and perform on these new consoles. And I think that would be okay if they can't do it because of the situation that's going on right now. I would still buy the console. Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with it because, like I said, my backlog is large, so I could just start catching up.
And another thing, though, too, especially with what's going on currently in the world, right? Are people even gonna have like that 500 yuccas to spend on that?
And with that, hold on, real quick.
That's another issue too. So do they really have to both of them?
Knox, and that was an interesting point on his second interview. The console watch thing was, with him saying that they're going to be agile, but they understand, in terms of the economics throughout the world, what's going on. And something I found really interesting is he promoted Xbox All Access, where that kind of like one-time payment, you get Game Pass, you get a system, and you pay monthly. For the system. He said that they are going to promote that heavily as well, which I'm surprised not a lot more people are talking about. Like,
that would be dope.
It's like they're gonna expand it, possibly have more stores kind of like offering that as well. Because if they're gonna promote that big time, then they got to do it more than just
the Microsoft store. Yep.
Exactly. And that was something I really didn't understand why more people weren't putting that out there. But that's why we're here, man. We get to talk about this stuff that
and there are going to be big time third parties that's going to drop too. So I mean, I don't know, man.
That's what I just want to see.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything that's really coming. It's not even that time yet, right? Normally it would be coming up soon. And again, with what's going on.
Well, I found the whole thing when they asked him about, when the PS5 was revealed. And again, he went out there, he congratulated Mark Cerny. He definitely said he was impressed with like the SSD technology that they were putting into the system and all that good stuff. But it went less PR. He was like, after that reveal, I was even more confident. So Knox, what do you think about that? And then anything else, like what were your key points from Phil talking to IGN that you could pull out as well?
I mean, it basically it was just covered by Mega right now. You know what I mean? In my opinion, really, like I didn't really take anything. All right, he's confident. He's confident in the power of the machine. He's got plans. He's This is Phil.
There's a lot of people stating that SSD,
solid snakes, oil, Phil Ski's doing what he does. You got to show me, man. Like that's all. Just he could talk all that shit was great. It was a great interview. I like what he was saying.
He needs a new mic, though. He needs a new mic.
I need him to prove that shit. That's all. Let's see what happens. When it drops, it drops. All that stuff will speak for itself. I want to see those games, those deals he's working out. Let's see. I hope so. I really hope that all of that is coming. I hope he's getting third-party exclusivity deals.
I was to say, what do you mean by deals? Was that another part of the interview because that's something we haven't covered yet when it came to his interview. What are you talking about with deals? Was it something he said in the interview?
I believe that in the one with with Ryan, right? The first one, the
Shaggy.
Podcast.
Shaggy.
Yeah, with Shaggy, yeah. Right. They were asking him or something about like the third party deals like they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically, he spoke the stuff that he speaks, how he doesn't want to, keep games out of gamers' hands and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't want it to be about that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what's going to happen, right? He said, well, but we'll see, we'll see what's going to happen. So let's see.
When it comes down to it, I still think like I kind of applaud Xbox for taking that stance of not keeping games off of other platforms like that with like those deals. I know Knox, you are on the other side of that fence.
Yeah.
But what I see happening here is with Game Pass and how hard they're going in on Game Pass, with them buying the studios and investing money in the studios they did under the first party umbrella. I think they're doing their best to be self-reliant when it comes to a lot of the content that goes into Game Pass that's coming onto Series X and stuff like that, instead of dealing with what they call the second party contracts, the multi-plat third-party developer making exclusive content or keeping games like as timed exclusive.
I still think that's a big mistake, man. When he I'm never gonna agree with that, man. That's just me. I like you. Don't you? That Final Fantasy VII remake on the PlayStation. Yeah, bro. I want to cop that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, and with that game, I'm in the camp of like, I don't know when episode 2 is coming out. It's not anything that deals with multiplayer that like I have to rush and play it. It's a story that I definitely played and beat before. So I'm not looking at that year exclusive deal as that much of a big issue for me.
I know, but people are. I'm in the camp of the people that are excited about that game. You know what I'm saying? That I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. I'm super fucking excited about that game. That Sony went and got that exclusivity deal, bro. That's gonna draw people to go over there, bro. If you're a fan of that game and you own an Xbox and you really love Final Fantasy VII and you will now consider going out there and copping a PlayStation to play that game. And that's why those second party deals are important, bro.
I got you.
Even if they're timed. Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Rain hitting up that super chat, and I want to say huge shout out to Z Black Rider who hit up the super chat in the very beginning, let everybody know it was working. Yo, huge shout out to you, brother. He didn't have anything to say. He just decided that he was going to support the show like that, which I really do appreciate. Now, Rain, he asked, does Microsoft have to appeal to Xbox gamers only? So, Knox, you want to take that question?
No.
No.
They should cater to PC and Xbox gamers, right? Because that's their platforms, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well,
You know they don't need to worry about PlayStation gamers and Switch gamers, though. You know what I'm saying? If they want to listen, if they want to take stuff like Cuphead and Ori and 2 years later put those shits on the Switch, go ahead and do that, bro. But you already got the juice out of them shits. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's the only thing that I think. They don't need to care about anybody but PC and Xbox gamers.
I got you, and I feel like when it comes down to it, I feel that the Xbox division, what they're trying to do, is what they've been trying to do for a couple years now. They've been trying to get back mindshare, both from the gamers and the developers. So when it comes to appealing to only Xbox gamers, no, I think they're doing their best to try to appeal to all gamers with a subscription like Game Pass, with how they built the Series X, with what they're doing moving forward, even with the first year having the first party games be able to run on the Xbox One and the Series X. It's another pro gamer thing. I think they're just trying to get back as much mindshare as they can moving forward. So this way, when somebody asks a general question to some other stranger, like, when you think of video games, what do you think? There's going to be more people that say Xbox, like, right off the bat. And I feel like that's where they're really trying to go there. They're trying to get back the mind share that they lost the beginning of this generation, and that kind of snowballed. So shout out to Rain. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Crispy here. Crispy, I know you checked out both of these interviews, right, brother? I know you are.
I only checked out Unlocked one because
why is everybody?
Dude, I've been working like a
one?
dog, bro.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say you are an essential, a quote unquote essential. So I would understand, but
I still kind of laugh at that a little bit. I'm just saying.
So what were the key points? I know we covered a couple of things here. I think I brought some things to light in terms of Phil Spencer kind of like promoting the Xbox All Access, saying that they are going to promote that hard, in terms of money. So this way you pay a down payment, you pay, per month, and you get Game Pass and you get your Series X, kind of like alleviating the whole lump sum down payment for a console. But what were the key points to the interview in your opinion, bro? And nobody has talked about anything said about like Nintendo and games going to Nintendo. So I'm interested to see if anybody pulls that out of their hat. But what do you think, brother?
Well, if you want to go back, he did say that, he's not opposed to doing such things in certain aspects of, the particular game and, what it is.
But he didn't like the fact that anytime a game came out, people were like, I wonder if that's coming to the Switch.
Yeah, and he actually really hated that. He was very emphasizing on the fact that he didn't like that. One thing I took from the interview is he needs a new mic, for the love of God.
Yes, thank you.
All right, I had to really you listen to a podcast or something, you usually can hear like maybe once in a while you have somebody drop out or some static or something, but like that was like brutal the whole time listening to him talk, even though he was beaming with confidence. Like you could just see it in his face. He was like, we're ready for this. Like, regardless of what's going on in the world, we are going to bring you something. We are not messing around. The one.
Do you think he intentionally used a bad mic because it was an IGN interview?
that actually is a good point.
Not a start of conspiracy. I'm just asking the question.
Well, I mean, him and McCaffrey have had their thing, so
Yeah.
But the one point that K-Meg brought up a bunch of points and everything, but when he said, I don't see doing a show or anything and not having new content being shown, and he also was very emphasizing on the fact that he's made the mistake, and he brought up Scalebound, and he said, look, we screwed up. We shouldn't have showed it so early.
You just made K-Mega shed a tear real quick. You just said the word, and I know that happened.
But
he has a Scalebound tattoo on his lower back, right?
A tramp stamp, huh?
Oh!
Okay.
No, lower back. That's not saying lower back. Why do you guys?
Look. It's not that low. It's on the shoulder. Anyway, I'm out.
Well, his shoulder and his pants line are like right there.
Wow.
But in general, him saying that, and then also, kind of reiterating the fact that, even though he's screwed up with Scalebound, because these games that we're going to see, because we're going to see them from what I saw, from what he said, is they are first party, they are, in-house, and he knows what they're capable of. He knows what they're doing. And this is after all of this has happened. So, the confidence that he showed it really made people not only realize that he's a gamer, like people that don't know him or haven't really followed him, that he's a true gamer, and he cares about what gamers want. And we all are going to ignore the fact that Microsoft has pushed a lot of narratives that have come to fruition, and it's just hilarious. It's hilarious that some people ignore these things, and then all of a sudden we're getting into a new generation and these things matter. Like, you could say, okay, does Halo Infinite release with Series X? Well, the fact is that with Game Pass, you have that whole library coming with you. And that all access thing, especially with everybody financially hurting a little bit, people still have Netflix and stuff. I mean, I think it's like 30. It comes out to like $30 a month, something like that. It's not that bad for a console, Game Pass, and Xbox Live. That's a pretty good deal. I mean, if I felt like I needed to do that, I would. So, I mean, I felt the confidence from him from watching it, even though the mic was horrible and it was driving me nuts. But that's besides the point. Still, the content of the context of what he said was very informative on their feelings right now, even with everything going on.
If you think that's informative, you got to check out the second interview. I think that had more kind of like juicy tidbits in it than the first one. But I will say something, Crispy, with even the Don said Halo Infinite's release and the Series X release are not tethered. You know what that tells me? There's pretty much no shot of a Halo Infinite limited edition Series X at launch, which I'm kind of bummed out about. Do you agree with me on that one, man? Dude,
I don't know.
How messed up would it be if Halo Infinite was coming out later, and but just maybe a couple months later, and then they came out with the limited edition series?
The only thing I will say is that it seems like, because of what I just experienced, which they've been developing this, partially at home, is what they have done with Gears 5, okay, and how much better the game is and how much work they put in, that they are fully capable of being able to do this at home, I think. And yes, I'm not giving anybody hope, but it is possible that the game comes out with Series X.
What's wrong with giving hope, man? We're all about hope.
I'm just saying, because I literally, they have done things that I've been asking for months and year almost. It's basically a year. And it's been driving me nuts. And all of a sudden they start fixing these things. Now, you got to realize there's a lot of things in the code of these games that, you can't just fix it immediately. You got to figure out how you're gonna, make it work within the system. So in the end, I truly believe that they are fully capable of doing it. And I feel he wasn't very, like, you didn't see him go down, like he wasn't like downing about it, like, well,
you were reading body language too.
Oh yeah, he was very confident. He's like, I'm not saying these things are happening in the world, but he talked about how they're getting the manufacturing going and everything else, and it seems like everything's going to fall into place. Now, can we say something won't happen? I mean, it's possible, but as of right now, I feel like they're on track, or I think he would have said something by now, or announced it, in some way on Twitter or something.
I think Crispy went to the Phil Spencer School of Explanation right there, man. Because you could have replaced Phil Spencer with Crispy, and it would have sounded pretty much the same right there. Let's get Predator in on this now. Pred, I know you you of all people watched both interviews, right?
You're wrong again.
Oh,
No,
damn.
I listened to a little bit of both of them. I kind of read
Well,
some notes on
dude,
and
you
stuff,
got
so.
more than pretty much anybody I've talked to yet in terms
Yeah,
of.
I think my biggest takeaway from both interviews was when they were talking about the price of the console. I think they really want to make it competitive. And one of the statements that Phil said was they were actually paying attention to what Sony was doing with their price. So I think they're really going to try and get this at the same price as whatever PlayStation 5 is going to be.
Dude, yeah, it's got me second guessing my $600, man. I'm letting you know right now. Like, I got to stick with it because I'm a man of my word. But after hearing him, I'm like, that $499 sounds pretty good right now.
Well, yeah, because when they showed that stat, I guess they had like that poll on IGN of what they expected the price was going to be like that was there. That's like you can't in the past, when they do polls like that, like you never know if Phil sees that kind of stuff or you kind of assume they do. Mm-hmm. They kind of, like he said, they go when they do their own metrics and see what they think the price would sit at, but they seen the poll. It was like a lot of people that responded to that poll, so like that right there should be a warning sign to him, like, hey, we really want this console priced around this. I think it was like $499. 500, like about between $400 and $500 is what everybody was kind of hoping for when they did the poll on IGN. So and I think that's kind of what we're expecting too. And so I'd be really disappointed if they came out with a $600 console after not only hearing it from the gamers, they've seen it and it's been presented to Phil at this point. So whatever they have to do to bring the cost down, they're going to do. And I see he mentioned the optical port and stuff like that on there. And part of that was
I'm upset about that, man.
Spacing and I think some of it he was saying was a price. They save a little bit of money by not putting it in there. But I was also reading that Astro and some other people are trying to work on a way to make everybody else's headsets still compatible with the Series X. So there may, I know there's some people who are complaining about that. So there may still be a fix for that. So. I'm not gonna.
I will let you know the reason why the optical audio port, why it was a disappointment to me. I hook up my Xbox to a sound bar before I play like Rock Band, Guitar Hero, stuff like that, and that makes sure I don't have to calibrate my guitar for 4K HD television, all that good stuff. Like it just It stays in tune, so I don't have to go in and try to calibrate it and be like, oh, that doesn't feel right. Go back in and calibrate it. So I'm a little upset about that.
Yeah, so that's a nicety though. But you can still work around it, right? If they have other ways to do it.
It's a
right?
me thing, definitely, man.
No, I mean, it's not just you because a lot of people are saying that too. So they're kind of upset about it. But if there's a fix for it, then it shouldn't be a big issue for everybody out there, right?
Yeah.
Like if they come out and say, "Oh, hey, we don't have an optical port, but you can do it through USB. You can do it this way." We're good on that aspect of it. So there's options there. And I like that they're still the thing is I think they learned from 2013. I think someone else alluded to it earlier when they were saying it bothered him the way that the launch went and stuff like that. And the fact that they simple things like them going out to Astro. And saying, hey, we're doing this with our console. How is this going to affect you, and how can we fix this? They thought about that. That's how in depth they're thinking about this console. They're thinking about things like that that's going to affect consumers later. And I like that they're thinking that way because in the past they just be like, release it, we'll figure it out later. They're actually putting forth the effort to try and fix things now before it becomes an issue when they release it. So when they do release, and I think it was my gripes with the 2013 launch and my complaint was I want everything on this console that I had on my previous console without having any issues. So it's I want HBO Go on my console when it comes out. I want, but when the console launched, we were missing some features from the 360 era, right? Or the Series X, whatever. It's we were missing certain features that weren't on there. Oh, we're gonna put it on there later. You'll get it later. And we finally got it, but it took a while to get it. And I like that they're going into this state where they're like, hey, we see that this is going to be a compatibility issue. Let's fix it now. So when we launch this, it's working for the consumers out there. So it should be I think of plug and play. I should be able to just unplug this Xbox One X, plug in my Series X, download everything else, and I'm good to go and nothing's missed. And that's what I like that they're actually taking that stance to try and make that happen. Whereas last time they didn't do that. So What else? I mean, I thought the interview was good. I didn't listen to the full interview of all of it. Kind of skimmed through it and listened to some notes and stuff like that too. But I mean, they're talking about it this far out, right? And like when the X launched series, not the Scorpio edition, whatever you want to call it, when that launched, like there was so much like there was no talk about it, right? There's like we didn't get any information till like big major events. Except
Not only
with, like,
was
maybe,
there no talk, but anytime somebody tried to, it was a mixed message.
it was shut down. Yeah, like they're getting the message out now. I think the only time I remember them coming out was when they did that interview with the Digital Foundry, and that's when they kind of came out and showed some of the specs and stuff like that. And everybody kind of thought, this is bullshit, right? And there was still again a mixed message there. But the fact they're talking about this far out. Despite what the hell Sony's doing, they don't really give a shit what Sony's doing. It seems like they're just like, we're going to put our shit out there. We're going to talk about it now and get you guys prepared for the future. And, Phil does these interviews. You don't typically hear, at least not in the United States anyway, like those interviews from the Sony camp where they're coming out and stuff. And, if you compare, what Phil Spencer just did a couple of days ago to what Mark Cerny did a couple of weeks ago, the message was completely different. I get that the Sony thing wasn't meant for a lot of people, but like
I think that's an excuse, man. Honestly,
what do you mean?
That it wasn't meant for them because, like, again, there was Sony employees saying, "Yo, I'm gonna tune in. You should too." Like, and they made it sound like
we kind of made that excuse though, right? Like we kind of said that because like I mean, it's because of the conference it was meant for, whatever. But like the message that they gave then, and the message we got from Phil was completely different. Like it was meant for two different people, but we come out of Phil's interviews, two of them, mind you, with more knowledge about the Series X than what we've heard from PlayStation so far this whole fucking time. Over the past year. Like, I mean, like fucking, I guess the beginning of this year. Like we got a logo, we got Mark Cerny, and that's all we really have.
As Review Tech USA said, we got a logo and Mark Cerny's bowl cut is what we've gotten so far.
And we got some specs. I mean, at least we got that out of it. But like from the Sony side, like we still don't typically know what this console looks like. We have no idea anything. Just what, like I said, Cerny, specs, the logo, and that's it. And Phil's done 2 interviews in the past week, plus specs, plus the reveal of the console. Like we've gotten all this information. And I'm thinking like they're really hyped about this console. They're really hyped about what they're pushing forward in the future. And you can see it just by his attitude, the way he presents himself when he's in the interview. Like you can tell he's really confident about what they created.
Yeah, and for people out there who downplay like body language and stuff like that, body language will tell you a lot more than what scripted words will say. You know what I'm saying? It'll tell you if the person believes what they're saying. Like I'm a strong believer in body language. I've caught my children out so many times, telling lies and stuff like that to me through their body language. So don't think that, it's a reach or anything like that. If
but you still don't understand Oh Snap, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Even to that example. Even to that example.
Money on there.
Cops use body language to, get the perps. So, I mean, it's just a part of, if you understand it a little bit, then you get how, when you see one person and they're like, and then you have another person that's like, yeah, we're doing this. And it's like, you can't ignore it. I mean, you really can't because,
hold on, but Mark Cerny, he is really hard to read his body language. He stays there stiff as a board. He's very monotone, and like he is really hard to read. Like
but here's the thing: like even if we're pretty sure that all those people weren't real. I mean, maybe like 1 or 2. But I mean, you could have fear in talking to people, but when you're on like a podcast or something, I mean, you should be able to ignore that mentally. You know what I mean? So I don't, if he doesn't have a ton of people in front of him and that's his fear, I question that. Then I almost feel like, that whole aspect of that was like, oh, this is what we have. And instead of like, oh, this is what we have. You know what I'm saying?
He's really hard, man. He's really hard. Like, let's be real. He's really hard to read when it comes down to it, man. Dude,
Yeah,
I
he
can
is.
admit it. You can admit it. We can all admit it. Like, he's very, like I said, stiff. And it's really hard when he's using the
Light as a
same.
feather, stiff as a board. Light
Oh
as a
my
feather, stiff
goodness.
as a board.
Oh boy.
All right, Dark, my brother from the West Coast, man. How you doing? It's been a while since I heard from you, man.
I'm good.
Okay.
You know.
I know you have listened to both interviews, right? Right?
I have.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Uh, so you heard the Xbox All Access thing. I hope that really kind of hooked in your brain. What were some of the points in kind of like that stuck with you throughout these two interviews, brother?
I think the biggest point to me was the fact that they've been showing more on Xbox side than anybody else. Like, you know, I mean, of course, Nintendo is not going to show anything because they got the Switch right now. PlayStation isn't really showing anything. I mean, even my contact at PlayStation isn't really delving any,
They're being
anything
quiet
to me.
right now. They're being
Yeah, it's a lot of quietness over there on the PlayStation side, which is it's a little nerve wracking in terms of just how the system's going to be. I mean, of course, the games on that console are probably going to be, really good. Like, what you're going to get there, you're going to get God of War, you're going to get all those games and stuff like that. But on Microsoft side, I mean, the things that they've been showing, like even like with just the ray tracing, the what else did they show? They showed the quick resume. They showed the what was the other thing that they showed? They showed
Smart delivery.
smart delivery. They showed what else did they show? They showed one more thing that was really cool that um I thought was really really cool. I think it might have been load times. I think that's what they showed, and
they
like
did
the
show load times. Now we
They
all
did
and
show those.
and they showed and then they showed like little tech demos of the Series X with Gears 5, and that looked like holy
without
crap,
optimization, 4K
Yeah,
60, no problem,
yeah,
man.
yeah, it was completely no problem. That was the biggest thing that stood out to me is that Xbox has showed a lot of stuff. Yeah, granted, they haven't showed any real like first party games. I mean, we know that
They show
Halo's coming. We
teasers
know.
though, man.
No, hold on. We know Halo's coming. We know that Hellblade 2 is coming. So I'm excited for those two games. I'm telling you right now, I think I'm gonna do exactly what I did this year or with this gen that I did last gen. I got the Xbox first because they had games that I wanted to play, which was Halo and things like that. You know me, I like playing Halo. Bot that I
That's
like
like the
playing
one
Halo.
multiplayer game for you.
Yeah, it's really literally the one multiplayer game, except for maybe Destiny here and there. Yeah, those two games are really like the only multiplayer I actually enjoy and play. So yeah, I'm excited for Halo Infinite, and I think from what we've been hearing, I think we're gonna get, I think we will get Halo Infinite at launch with the Series X.
Oh, dude, I'm
Um,
hopeful. I am
Oh,
definitely
I'm
hopeful.
I'm I'm completely hopeful for it because I think a lot of those guys are working from home. I mean, they've had how many years to develop the game? I mean,
About
they're
5 years,
really
yeah.
they've been working their butts off over there at 343. So, kudos to them. Even I'm sure they're working from home. So,
Mm.
um, but I think a lot of the things that Phil said was he was very confident, like everybody has been saying. He's been very confident about what he's talking about when he was talking about the Series X and just in general. I mean, he's stated it in the past, but you could tell just by the body language when he was in the the console watch
Mm.
interview where he said, when they were talking about like exclusive games and stuff like that for the console, he was very adamant that they're working on that's what they wanted to do and give the gamers that. So it gives me a lot of faith that Xbox is going to do well. next gen. It probably, it's going to be a very it's going to be a very interesting generation, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because
I'm thinking the same thing.
More
It's gonna be
competitive.
real interesting, man.
it's going to be probably more competitive, like you're saying, Crispy. It'll probably be a lot more competitive. I feel like Xbox, their team. I think they're honestly. I without a doubt feel like they will make exclusive games only on Series X. I have a funny feeling
Like not
that
going to
there will
PC
be
or nothing
right
like
that
that.
there will be those certain games that will not go to PC or won't go to PC for a little while. Like they won't go to PC right away. They'll go to PC like maybe a year or two later.
Like in Halo
I
5. I got you.
Something like that. Yeah, I
Or
feel
they
like
No,
do
but
the
they
PC Game
can't though.
Pass thing.
They can't
PC
because
Game
yep,
Pass.
no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got Game Pass Ultimate. They can't. They got to put it.
Yeah,
How
nah,
they
It's
it-
first. It's first
Uh,
party.
But you're selling. You know what I'm saying? You're selling the subscription even on the PC
Right,
Game Pass.
right.
So I could see that like where they just say, okay, well it's on PC Game Pass and it's on Xbox
Xbox Game
exclusive.
Pass.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah,
And
but
that's
not on.
it.
I could
But
see
yeah,
that.
but not on Steam because I mean, you look
Right,
at
I could see
you
that.
look at like Sea of Thieves is just now going over to Steam. So yeah, no, I get what you're
I,
saying. Phil.
I don't know, but I have a funny feeling that they're gonna do something where they're still gonna make games for PC and Xbox together, but I have a funny feeling that they're gonna have some games that are gonna be only on the Series X that you're not gonna be able to play, right away on PC. I just have that feeling. I don't know
you know,
what it
Dark,
is. I just feel it.
Dark, real quick,
Um,
Dark, just real quick. When it comes down to it, one of the things that's got me really excited about Xbox moving into the
Uh-huh.
Series X is Phil Spencer is really adamant on diversity when it comes to the first party. And I know there's a lot of people
Yeah.
out there saying that they need more heavy story driven single player experiences, and he's not
Let-
saying that they're not doing those. He is saying
He-
that
he
they are
said- yeah, he
doing
never
those
specified that he was gonna
and
do those.
other
Oh.
things as well. And that is
Yeah.
the only thing. That is what I've been trying to say to the Sony diehards out there. It's like I understand you like that game, and then you like that game, and you like that game. Now me being outside the store looking in through the window, I see the same puppy just with different colors. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Yeah. I feel like for me, when they showed the Hellblade and then they showed a Halo, I was all like, okay, I'm probably definitely gonna get an Xbox. I actually knew already I was gonna get an Xbox anyways because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm a console gamer, so I'm gonna get PlayStation. And I'll have an Xbox as well. It was just a matter of which one am I gonna get first, and it looks like right now probably Xbox is gonna be the one because they're gonna have Halo. We don't really know what's coming first party to the PlayStation. I mean, if they come out with a banger like that's just, ridiculous, that somebody's just like, holy crap, like
I don't think it's going to be
that's what you need a
Godfall.
PlayStation.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna be Godfall.
it's not going to be Godfall, not at all. I looked at Godfall and I was just like, that's not.
They
my
got
type
like
of game.
40 people working on it, and people think it's going to be a big
Well,
AAA kind of like.
yeah, it's
huge
just not
budget.
it's not my type of game. I mean, yeah, I like looter
It's a looter
shooters.
slasher.
I don't like looter slasher. Like that doesn't sound fun to me. I mean, yeah, if it's like more like a Diablo type of game, I mean, maybe, but it doesn't look like it's going to have that same aspect ratio where it's going to be a top down kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I like more of those kind of looter slasher kind of games. But
You like dungeon
I
crawler
think
type stuff, man.
right dungeon
Yeah.
crawler type of stuff. But to get back to what Phil was kind of going on about, he was really adamant. Like the pricing is very key. Like he knows that the pricing has to be in the realm that people are going to be able to afford it. Especially since this year has been a crazy year. I mean, we've had some of the, these past few years have been crazy, but this year especially has been the craziest year because of the situation that's going on right now. So he's taking into factor that right there, and it seems like he's really adamant not delaying the console until next year. He's really wanting to get this console out this year. I absolutely believe he will at any point try to get this console out this year. So he definitely
I
had
wonder if
some
he's hearing
good.
I wonder if he's hearing the rumors. I know it's a future topic, but I wonder if he's hearing the rumors in the industry that a couple journalists are hearing and stuff like that when it comes to the PS5, to the point where he's like, no, we are getting this out when we said we are getting it. Just
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's heard stuff, and that's the thing, the PlayStation has been really quiet. I mean, even on my end, like the person that I know who works directly with the PS5, yeah, they're not even letting me know any information at all. There's a lot of, there's just nothing. Which is kind of sad because, I tried to watch that Mark Cerny thing and I just couldn't do it, man. I just could not do it. Like I watched the highlights, I saw some things, that were interesting, but there was just a lot of that stuff is just,
dude,
it's not for me.
We accidentally talked over him like so much doing the live reaction.
Oh no, I watched your guys' stuff and I was just like, this is more entertaining than whatever Mark Cerny's talking about.
We had to do something. We were losing the audience, man. We had
yeah,
to do
was
something.
brutal,
I know.
bro.
I know you guys were definitely losing the audience, but I'm very confident that Microsoft and Xbox is gonna do well next gen. I don't think they're gonna do the numbers that PlayStation has been doing, but I think they will do very well.
I see, and this is where I think a lot of people get it twisted. When it comes down to it, with what Xbox is doing with Game Pass, having games on PC and all this good stuff, it's not necessarily about selling the most consoles.
Right.
When it comes to the console war stuff, it's really about mind share at this point in time, because they are on. Their ecosystem is on different platforms, and that's going to grow with like xCloud and stuff like that. I don't think they're really worried about how many consoles they're going to sell, but when it comes to mindshare,
No, they're not.
When somebody says, what do you think of when you think video games? They want more people to be like Xbox, like, right off the bat. And I think that's where their effort is right there.
Well, that's why they had that all access, because I think that was probably the smartest thing they could have done with, even just this gen, where they added that all access pass type of thing going on, subscription. I almost forgot the freaking word.
Dude, your mic and your internet is treating you really well right now. So like we're rolling.
That's why I'm trying to get out. That's why I'm trying to get out as much as I can. But I think with them putting that into place with this next console, it's really gonna appeal to a lot of people, especially people who I'm
so glad you saw that.
Let's face it. Some people can't afford to buy their consoles outright, and that's okay. Now you have an option to do so, where before you didn't have that option. You had to really save your money and try to hopefully maybe get the console eventually. Now you might be able to get the console right out of the gate with $30 a month. That's a pretty good deal, considering what you're getting what that Xbox Series X, or whatever, how much ever
Series X
be.
controller, Xbox Live, and Game Pass.
Live. Yeah, Game Pass. I mean, you're getting quite a bit of stuff, and especially
getting everything you need to just plug it in, download, and play.
With Xbox putting all their games, like all their first party games, on Game Pass day one, that's really gonna help them out with this subscription. It's gonna be pretty big for them.
Nice.
It might not be the numbers of PlayStation, but it'll be pretty high. I think it'll be bigger than it was this generation.
Nice. Now I gotta swing this over to the Don real quick, and then we gotta switch. There are
I forgot I was here.
There are people like they want to know about a certain topic. So we're gonna get through this, and then we're gonna have to go into The more controversial topic is, I think, is what people want to hear us talk about. But we gotta cover this. And Don, being an independent developer, he might pull some things from these interviews, some things that were said that we might have just glossed over. So, Don, the two interviews, I gotta ask if you watched both of them, and then
Seen one, not the other.
Of course. I have a panel of slackers for the most part, except for Dark, and I'll give Predator some credit as well for listening to little bits of both there. But what did you pull? What were the key points in what Phil was talking about this week that really kind of caught your eye, like really grabbed you, man?
Nothing was really that much of a surprise for me, to be perfectly honest with you. It was just more of Phil. I think what I kind of pick up what everyone else is watching is I think people are starting to understand Phil. They're starting to get him now, right? Like he has enough time in the public eye that people are starting to understand that these are things he's been planning. He's been planning this console. He's been planning the X. He's been planning all these services. He's been planning all this sort of stuff, and it's coming to a headway, right? Like and it starts with the Xbox Series X, right? That is the headway that this has all been leading up to for him. Even the inquiring of the studios, the fact that they plan on pacing out the games so they're not just dumped all in the same month, things like that. He's basically applying all that sort of stuff. And I've always kind of said this, like Phil is the type of guy, like he literally, his drivatar and him are like literally the same person in the sense of for example, if you ever race Phil's drivatar, it's so funny. You'll pass him like early in the early laps, right? Because he's stuck behind somebody, right? He's stuck behind some other drivers. He'll race clean. He won't bump cars. He won't.
Like me. Got you.
Nothing like you.
Like me, brother. Like me.
Don't even start.
It's like I taught him. It's like I taught him, man.
Let Don finish because you're frauding the public right now.
Yeah, you're just embarrassing yourself. Anyway, so he drives clean as hell, and then you're like, okay, I passed Phil 2 or 3 laps ago. Next thing you know, you look in your rearview mirror, and he's right there, right? He's just waiting for his move.
He's right there behind me. Behind me, by the way.
Your driver chart doesn't even show up on my list anymore.
In the words of Donald Trump, you should be ashamed of yourself, Bob.
Yeah, you should be ashamed. I'm even doing hand gestures right now. Anyway, but he'll do that. He'll be right on your tail, and because what he does, he waits for the move. It's not about not wanting to win. It's not about any of these sort of things. It's about doing the right timing, getting everything on board, getting everybody on the team on board, getting everybody at Microsoft on board, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the leaderships, and and it's going to sound like I'm kissing up to him, but like what I've noticed is once he kind of starts taking position, I start seeing a lot of different departments within Microsoft lining up of what they're trying to execute. And prior to him being in leadership, what I would see is a lot of things just disconjointed, right? DirectX 12 and the launch of the Xbox One, that wasn't in line with one another, right?
No.
You stepped to what they did DX 12 and how they integrated with the Xbox One X, right? You start seeing everything kind of fall into perfectly in timing. You start seeing the fact that they offered ray tracing whoever wanted to tackle it first, in this case NVIDIA on the PC side of things. So why? Because that gets developers used to the technology, understand how the best way to develop, how to take advantage of those resources. Boom, Series X comes out, and now you have you have DX12 Ultimate to help out with that, right? Everything is just lining up in regards to that. I think people are starting to see that with Phil. People want to take little things out of context because of the world we live in, and they want to take that one thing out of context, create a divide, and then blow a story up out of that. And you're missing the big picture of what's going on with Phil. He's trying to get all these working components, and he's trying to get them all to work together. And Microsoft's a huge ship. I mean, if you just look at them, I mean, you look at the attitude they have towards gaming now, it's different. And anyone that knows anybody within Microsoft feels it within the company. And so, I mean, it's just that is a major difference. And he's also he's promoting the small things. He's promoting the big games. He's trying to, he recognizes what Halo is, and so he's allowing them to develop their new engine, things like that. You have Forza, and you're like, we need just a little bit more time because we're that ambitious. We can release something, but we can do a lot more if you give us some time, right?
Yeah.
And so he's letting these pressure relief valve on these core franchises to kind of ease up a little bit because he's got these other things to kind of fill in the plate. And I don't think there's going to be Xbox One Series Xbox One, but Xbox Series X exclusives. I don't think there's going to be,
No, I don't think so
because
either.
the way DX12 Ultimate works and stuff like that, it's really to help bridge the gap between PC and console even more, and to make that development across platform, across hardware even easier. And they're always going to push for that, of course, right? Like, people say, "Well, I've heard this before." Yes, you're going to hear it again down the road. Trust me. That is the end goal for what they're trying to accomplish, and I just think people are starting to understand them in regards to that, and I think that's the biggest thing to take away from the situation. I don't think anything is really that new. As a matter of fact, I think Microsoft's holding back still. To be honest with you, everyone thinks they're like, "Hey, they're showing a bunch of stuff." They did, but we're supposed to see a demonstration from Turn 10 on ray tracing by now.
Yeah, dude. Great point. We have not seen that yet.
No, we have
That
not.
would be awesome to be able to.
So I think they're holding. I think they're holding some of their cards even with that stuff, right? So, and who knows what their E3 demonstration stuff is going to be, and I think that's what gamers, both on the PlayStation side and the Xbox side, should really judge these consoles by is what are they going to show that was meant for the general public, right? That's the thing to judge both Sony and Xbox on, and that's going to be around the corner. That's soon, right? So.
All right, I got you, brother. And I believe on that note, everybody was able to talk about that. We are going to switch over both graphically and topically to PlayStation right now. And with that being said, there is a rumor. Somebody, I believe, posted a comment on YouTube. A guy named Jeff, I'm not really going to use his last name, talking about the potential rumor that the PS5 is actually in some serious trouble right now due to overheating. Basically stating that Sony underestimated Microsoft and Xbox and what they were doing with the Series X. That, with this system, there have been issues where they're thinking about they might possibly have to redesign the PlayStation 5 into kind of like a similar mold of the Series X because the heat is just too much for the system. And again, guys, this is a rumor, and I wanna put a couple things out there real quick before people start flipping out. Now, first off, this guy Jeff, he was known back in kind of like the beginning of this generation to talk like doom and gloom when it came to the PS4. Now, some of it was about Sony's finances, which we all know in the beginning of this generation, Sony did have issues, all right? Like, you can't deny that. Sony as a corporation was losing money. They cut divisions, they sold property, and they invested in other aspects of business where they can, grab some revenue and keep kind of like trucking along. This is not a secret when it comes down to it, but he is kind of known for talking negative when it comes to the PS4. He came out and he said about this rumor. Now, the thing about this rumor is Mr. Robino and Mr. Corden from Windows Central kind of reiterated the fact that that's what they heard. Now, before, I know I said Windows Central, before you go off on that tangent and say, well, they're obviously Xbox centric and stuff. They are gaming journalists when it comes down to it. Like when they come out with stuff, I don't think I know Jez, and I don't think he will come out and just say things because of a preferred platform or an Xbox centric and kind of like risk his employment in doing what he loves. Now, with that being said, earlier, a few weeks back, we had Jason Schreier talking about how people he's talking to are saying how great the PS5 is. Now, the funny thing about that is when I read Jason Schreier's article, one thing kept snapping in my head. I'm like, yo, he's talking to first party developers. Like that was the one thing I kept on thinking. I'm like, yo, he because it seemed like in his article he was weaving around kind of like who he was talking to, and it made me think he was talking about first party developers working on games for the PS5. So with that being said, it is a really touchy topic out there on Twitter. Somebody said that it's absolutely ridiculous. It's already been debunked. So I asked the person, I was like, can you share a link to it being debunked? Because I want to share, actual information, news that's coming out. That's what I want to do on this channel. And his response was, Jason Schreier is your link. And I'm like, I was already skeptical about that when that first came out. And you're not doing anything to sway me otherwise. Not only that, take it for whatever you want, but Review Tech USA also did a video talking about this. And with that, he brought up something I think a lot of gamers are thinking about. You see Microsoft, you see Xbox coming out with what the console looks like, teasing games that are going to be on the Series X, putting out, their specs and everything, being completely like wide open when it comes to this thing, having different YouTubers come and put back together the system, really showing all the hardware, and Sony really hasn't shown anything. And you gotta ask yourself why. And if you look at what they've done in the past when it comes to PS3, PS4, you would have to go all the way back to PS2 for them to reveal a console and then within 6 months release it. Every other one, it's been longer. All right? So you would expect to see something by now. You would expect to see the console by now. And I know people are saying wait till May, but the last time they used May to show their console, E3 was going on in May. They showed it at E3. So like I've done some homework on this to make sure, I get some proper information here. I'm going to start with my brother Predator. Pred, what do you think about these rumors? You hear kind of the things I'm talking about. I hear people trying to discredit Rubino and Corden because they work at Windows Central. Are you in that camp? Do you think that any part of this could absolutely be real?
I look at it this way. This is the time of the year, typically we'd be revving up for E3, right? And you start hearing all these rumors and leaks and stuff that's not true. We do this every year. We talk about this every year. And all it takes is one person to say something negative and spread it. And the thing is, like when PlayStation revealed its specs a couple of weeks ago, the first thing I heard about was overheating.
There were questions. There were questions, man.
Somebody had said that, and someone had mentioned something about the console overheating, and I'm like, so when I heard this, I look at it this way: Sony's not stupid. If they're testing this right now and they're having issues with it overheating, they found it. That's why you make the consoles. That's why you make these, you make prototypes to test these things to see if they're going to work. They'll figure it out. If it's overheating now in the lab, they'll figure it out before. It's not like they're going to release it that way. You know what I'm saying? So
well, actually, the rumor is that they're hoping that their PlayStation name, and this is what I absolutely don't carry it. Yeah, I'm not saying they're doing this. I'm not saying. I am reporting on the rumor, and we are talking about it because it seems like there is some foundation underneath this. You know what I'm saying? Like people, they look at my name and automatically, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to run with it. No, I'm giving the rumor out there, but there's things behind it that kind of make me think, well, why the hell haven't they shown it yet? This is an explanation, more than we heard anything from Sony so far.
If I had to guess, I would say they probably have about 3 or 4 prototypes they're working on, and they don't know which one they're going to pick yet. The one they probably have is probably overheating, but they're testing out the other 2 or 3. So, it's early. It's early enough for them to fix it. It's not like they released it and the shit was burning up houses and stuff like that. So, rumor or not, I'm not concerned. I'm just not really worried about it. I think they'll figure it out and get it fixed before they release it. So I do think it's weird they haven't shown it this far out, but, again, because E3 is what would have been in June?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And we're in April, so I guess
It's
a lot of
awkward,
things.
man. It's
A lot of
awkward.
things has happened. It gives what's happening in the world right now is giving a lot of people excuses. I'll say it that way. It validates things not being shown. They can always use that as an excuse. Okay.
But you know what's crazy though? Like,
Hey, Knox, what up, brother?
Since when? Like, traditionally, right? Sony's not doing anything out of the ordinary right
No,
now.
they're not.
Dude, I have
Microsoft are the guys that went outside the box, and it was cool that they did it, showing their console, revealing it at the Game Awards, and they're being very open about it, and they're flaunting it, and all of that is great. All that's good, but that, yeah. But
I have it written down. Okay, hold on. When it comes to the PS4, it was revealed in February 2013.
In February.
And released in November 2013. For the PS3, the prototype was actually shown a year before it came out. You have to go all the way back to the PS2, which was shown in September.
I was gonna wait until my turn, but yeah.
And then it released in March of 2000. You would have to go back that far for anything to and even if you're going to equate 6 months, that would be May if they're releasing in November. Dude, you got to say there's something awkward there, man.
I would say if we haven't seen it by June, there's a problem.
yeah, and if there is, and they address it, good. They need to address it. You know what I mean? Like, that is what it is. I mean, this isn't. I don't understand what people are in an uproar about, because
nobody's in an uproar, but they're saying that it could.
About on Twitter, everybody's in an uproar about PS5 overheating. Okay,
oh, they're lying. Well, there's people saying, you're lying. It's unvalidated. I'm like,
I mean, whatever. If you got to lie about something like that, then that's pretty desperate, in my opinion. So that's just foolish. If this is a fact, if these guys are credible, and then like Fred was saying, Sony will address it, hopefully. Now, if what people are implying is that Sony's trying to stealth the shit out and get it into the market fucked up, then that'll be crazy, which Sony's not stupid. They're not going to do that. That'll probably cost them way more and bite them in the ass in the long run. So it is what it is. They'll fix it, and that's it.
But that's not necessarily true, because the 360 era, you had the Red Ring of Death, which I experienced myself.
I know.
Crispy,
I got
let me explain.
The internet wasn't very prevalent at that time, anyways.
Guys, real quick, I just want to put, like I said, I'm trying to put out the proper information. Now, Red Gaming Tech came out with a video talking about the Red Ring of Death, and from what he said, it was a clamp issue. It wasn't necessarily that like the system was overheating per se. It was the clamp was holding down the piece too hard, which it caused.
He's absolutely false.
Really?
Whatever it was a disaster, bro.
So what happened? What happened with the 360? It did come off the board, the main chip, but what was going on is they tested everything with a particular solder. And laws changed overseas with production that they cannot no longer use lead in solder. So therefore, it had a lower boiling point that would liquefy, and that's when they were having issues with it. So everything they did with testing was this. Something changed over productions overseas, and then that's the only solder everyone had the access to, and they had that problem. So that's what caused all of it. Now, there was fixes, like people tried to fix it, air quotes, by changing the clamps and doing all these other like hacks in regards to that, but it wasn't the clamp.
Okay, all right. So in that note, and dude, Don, I'm definitely gonna take your word for it, because when it comes down to it, I know you know about this stuff. Like I said, I was pointed in the direction of this video that said it's completely false. Like they don't, and the way that they say, the way that Red Gaming Tech said this, he said that he doesn't believe it's true, and here's why. So I got to put all the information out there for people to get, to generate a grounded opinion on what is going on. But something I do have to say is, when you look at the history of Sony and how they showed their system and how long it was usually before the release of it, we should have seen something by now. So,
yeah, well, and not just that, they usually kind of tit for tat with any gaming company, especially Xbox, for the past few years. Like Gears 5's coming out. Everybody's hyped about it. Well, we're going to tell you that Last of Us 2 is coming out. Okay. So
Another good point.
And this is the point I make. Their silence is why we are even speculating about this. You know what I mean? It's not the way Sony runs. Now, yes, I understand that they have a bunch of new people in power positions. I get that totally. But that doesn't mean you take away from what you've done for years.
Weren't they supposed to be
you've
doing
won.
something in March? Weren't they supposed to be doing something in March and it had to be canceled because of this whole thing? Wasn't that something that they had set up?
That was another rumor,
That was a rumor.
that something was gonna be planned. I think it was in
And
New
that's
York
possible.
City.
That's possible.
Now, real quick, I
Right,
just
yeah.
want to hit the
Yeah,
super chat
yes.
real quick. Yo, shout out to Rick Kreischer. Hitting up that super chat, supporting the show. Thank you, brother. He said, as a plumber, take the Don at what he said. Don, have you been a plumber too? You were a private investigator.
No, I think he
No,
knows what
I
the
used to be a
difference was
plumber.
then.
Yeah, with the
He
solder.
knows.
Hold on. Where'd you guys go?
We're still here.
All right.
Everybody's
Oh,
here.
so what? He's being real about that. What? Because
He understands lead and solder
Yeah.
and all
Okay.
that.
I actually heard that
I
before.
went
by
to
the
plumbing
way.
class, and he's exactly right.
you
I'm just
went to
away from
plumbing class.
I did.
Yeah.
I went to Mid-Del Votech. Yeah,
Insert
for
a
plumbing.
joke
Yes.
wherever you want, guys. Like that's all I gotta say.
Okay, just saying.
All right, so Crispy, you were
Got my certification in it.
is there anything else you wanted to add to that before we
Well, you guys kind of talked over it, but at the beginning of Mark Cerny's press conference, as I'm just going to call it a press conference, whatever the hell it is, and basically he said that they want to keep the console look to the PlayStation. So does that mean let's ignore the heat and try to make something that will fit in a normal console, thought process? And it comes down to they're kind of wary because, basically Xbox made a let's get the heat out quick type console.
Mhm.
And it's been accepted. People have, their memes and everything else, which is fine, but it's been accepted. And yet we're hearing heating issues. And I've had people that say, and if you don't do certain things with the Xbox One X, it's overheating on people in whatever way, shape, or form. It actually is overheating. It's causing problems.
That's
for
a
them.
bug though, because there's something wrong with my ex. I just heard. Boom. I'm sorry to cut you off, Crispy, but since you brought that shit up, because it is true. Happened to me. Happened to my cousin after this last update with Boom's Xbox One X dying. He was talking out there.
So I actually had these things happen to me, like it just literally would just shut off.
Yeah, me too.
So what I did is because the airflow in the Xbox One X is coming out the back for the most part. It's not at the top or anything else. Like a lot of people are ignoring the fact that it's too close to the wall or whatever.
No,
So I actually moved it about, I'd say 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from my wall, and and that I haven't had any problem since. And I actually had it shut down on me a couple times. There are certain games that I think are having issues with how it's running with the Xbox One X. So in general, there's clearly a small problem. I don't think it's like I said, I experienced the red ring of death. Like that was like a huge problem. You know what I mean? Like you had a choice. Either you're going to take the consoles back and do the right thing, to any of them, or you take these little tiny hits. And these are little tiny hits. And the thing is that we're looking at a totally different design, which I actually like because I'm not worried about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yo, shout out to Z Black Rider for hitting up the super chat one more time. Thank you, brother. He says, Rich is right, but that's only half the story. He said, silver solder, don't fix it. So when it comes down to it, man, I used to like clean my friend's 360s and stuff like that. I used to take it apart. I used to clean the disk drive, all that good stuff, but I never really got into like soldering and all that good stuff. So I really can't tell you.
You're not going to be able to resolder that. It's a ball array arrangement on those sort of things. You need really special tools to properly solder that stuff back down.
Okay, and again, like as somebody who is, doesn't have that knowledge in that field, I am gonna roll with the Don on that one, to be really honest with you.
I've been soldering since I was a kid. Like I would never touch a ball array. I would never do it, even with all the right equipment. I just wouldn't do it. In regards to that, yeah, he's just talking about hacks and all the different hacks that they have done with all the clamps and stuff like that. But it's one of those things. It's an oversight that's screwed over Microsoft. Pro or con. I mean, they made some mistakes that just no one expected, and now it still haunts them today, and they don't even have the console out. So,
all right. So, let's go to Knox real quick on this. I know you chimed in on a couple of things, but I don't think you really kind of like shared your views on this. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I know this is a rumor, all right, and we don't etch rumors in stone and saying this is exactly what it is. And now I know you said that they're not doing anything different, but you heard, the unveiling and the releases of the previous PlayStation. So what do you think? Like, do you think there is some plausibility here that we do have Jez Gordon and Rubino, and regardless of where they are working, at the end of the day they are gaming journalists. And Corden said this back. He said that he heard the opposite of what Schreier was saying when Schreier came out with that article. So it's not like this is something new from Corden. He's.
Well, I mean, you just got these guys going back and forth, right? You gonna believe Jez, or you gonna believe, the other guy, that's pro PlayStation. I mean, to me, it really just it doesn't make a difference. I mean, if it's true and it's credible, then let them start working on it. Like that's it. I mean, do I find it particularly strange that Sony hasn't shown anything yet? If that's what you're asking me, no, not really. I mean, I probably didn't really put much, thought into it, to be honest with you. I thought that this thing was coming up in March, and I would have checked something out. Cerny put out that developers briefing, because that shit was a bore fest and a half. Great information, but fuck, bro, God, it was brutal. But they are working on this thing. You know what I'm saying? They put the specs out. He's talking about the SSD and all these great strides forward that they're doing, and then so let's see what happens if there is a problem right now. Because hey, let's be honest. Microsoft went through what they went through with the Red Ring of Death, but damn, they're all the wiser for it, bro, because from the Fat Boy to the S to the X, those shits, they don't make a fucking sound, at least not any of mine. My PS4 Pro, my PS4 Vanilla, that shit is a turbine.
My X has started spinning up. Like before, it was absolutely quiet. Now with certain games, it's starting to spin up. So I'm kind of happy that we're like right around the corner from the next generation.
I still think, and you know what? It's too little bit of time for something that's built like the X to even be showing any type of overheating issues right now, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think that this was an update thing because it's happening to a lot of people. That same shit that Crispy described, it just turns off, shuts down. When I turn it back on, it tells me that this is a safety precaution that it's built into the box so that it doesn't overheat. And I'm like, yo, nothing is obstructing the exhaust of my X. I have nothing behind it. I don't put it next to the wall. That shit is open every direction, just for that reason. You know what I mean? Because
mine stands up like a pillar right next to my TV. It's wide open, man.
Wide open. Yep.
Yo, Knox, just real quick, because WCCF Tech came out with an article talking about like how Cerny got these boosted clocks for the GPU and CPU, and I want to read this real quick. This is a quote from him on how they did this, and when I got to the end is where it was really like it was weird. Like, so when they asked how did Sony manage to get such high boost clocks, he says one of our breakthroughs was finding a set of frequencies where the hotspot, meaning the thermal density between the CPU and the GPU, is the same, and that's what we've done. Now, this is the weird thing. He says they're equivalently easy to cool or difficult to cool, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's an oxymoron then.
Yo, right there. Like, I'm like, what are you saying, man?
Yeah, that makes no sense. He didn't say anything.
Yeah, I think it's coming down to the box itself. I mean, I think that they didn't think that it would be accepted to do something that Xbox Series X is doing. You know what I'm saying?
I know that even Sony diehard loyalists have to agree that the PlayStation consoles are some noisy ass consoles. That's just straight up.
360 was noisy as hell too, man.
Well, but the 360 had that issue. So yes, it was very fucking noisy too, but not any of the other ones. And they just haven't been. And Sony has to absolutely, take heed of this. They take note of it and address that issue with the PS5. I would assume that they're going to do this. I guess we shouldn't.
Just real quick, I wanna just because Jesse Walker is in the chat. What is going on, Jesse? Jesse got told that it's worse for your Xbox to be standing up straight than it is flat. Is that true? Now, Jesse, if you're playing a lot of physical disc games, then gravity has a habit of pulling downwards. So that would be the only thing that I would think would be the issue. Other than that, like you have ventilation going on each side and the back, so I don't think there would be more of an issue if you're standing it up.
I mean, you can argue there's less air clearance for the intake on the
side, on the bottom side,
on the bottom side,
right
but I think they anticipated that with that.
Yeah, but that little stand that comes with it is built so that it can pull that air in through there.
It's not sitting flat on the desk or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's raised a little bit just so air can get through there. So
yeah. Yep. So I don't think there would be any issue either way. Put it however you want to put it. I think you'll be okay. All right, Jesse. But on that note, let's go to K Mega. K Mega's been quiet. Let's get him in on this. Now, Mega, I know you're out there on Twitter. I know if you put anything about this out on Twitter, you have a certain band, a certain community that loves to come back at you with certain things. But what do you think here? Like, when you look at the history, you look at what Sony has or hasn't shown so far. You hear this rumor. You got gaming journalists kind of like backing it up. Do you think that there is any sort of truth to what's going on with this rumor, man?
Oh, I believe there's truth to it. I take it with a grain of salt because I agree with Pred and everybody else. I mean, Sony will get it fixed. But I do think that there's some truth to it because if there wasn't, then they would have already shown the box. There's been too many things that's been going on. Look, I posted something about this rumor about a month and a half ago. And of course, you got the same stuff that you usually hear from stands.
They're liars. They're all liars.
This, that. And I'm like, look, man,
come on, who's Stan?
The stands, right? And so it's just, to me, there's some problems going on with Sony. I mean, I know that there's some fans out there that don't want to hear that, but this turnover, and I've alluded to it many of times. I mean, Xbox had to go through it with their turnover, and we've seen how everything played out this generation. There's been a lot, and I mean a lot of turnover at Sony, and the right hand don't seem to know what the left hand is doing. And messaging. The messaging has been awful for them. And every time it's just like what Crispy said. Every time that there has been something positive coming from Xbox, there's always been something Sony had up their sleeve to battle. And even if it wasn't something that wasn't major, just the thought of something Sony could just throw right out there to try to leave whatever that Xbox was trying to get some hype for, it gets eradicated just right off the bat. That ain't happening. They have been too quiet. I
just want to cut you off real quick. I almost feel like the Game Awards shocked the hell out of them.
Oh, it absolutely did. It absolutely did. That's what this whole generation and under Phil's management, it's been kind of like everything of what it's been everybody else talking for Xbox except for Xbox themselves. And then when Phil or somebody else would talk, then it would have been such a snowball because there have been the media, there have been content creators, and everybody else already made the assumption, and it sounded like that everybody from Xbox would be going uphill. This is the same thing. The only thing that I think, and I do agree with that part where where the person said that Sony is going off of the name alone because PlayStation is synonymous with gaming. It's right up there with Nintendo in the sense of, when you think of gaming, you think of PlayStation, Nintendo. But the problem is that in social media, and that was, I don't know who said that, but social media is here now. And the more that they're quiet, the worse that this is becoming. It's just like what Otter said. I don't know if Otter remember what he said a couple of months back when we were before. I think it was I don't know if it was around the reveal or was before the reveal of the VGAs. But Otter was adamant about buying a PlayStation 5 first because Xbox just wasn't fulfilling the things that he wanted
You're
as a
right.
gamer.
I did say that.
He said that.
I
Now
did.
and now today he's saying something completely different. You know why? Because social media and everything else, Xbox has been presenting themselves. They're like, here, we're here. We're not worried about what's going on over there. Hey, we still do the baby kumbaya, but we're being serious about this. Sony has been virtually almost irrelevant, except for if it was. Just think about this for a second. If Sony didn't have The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, what would be going on right now?
Well, hold on. Last of Us 2. That's another topic as well. And
I know.
Well,
but
we can bring that into that too, because when it comes down to it, people are like, T virus this, T virus that. I got you. And again, when it comes to poor messaging, all right, when it comes down, all of a sudden timing is a huge factor as well. So not only was this, this rumor kind of like built up, and then, the gaming journalists kind of like saying, yeah, well, that's what we heard. Then all of a sudden you get the announcement that The Last of Us 2 is delayed indefinitely. Now they do say it's according to what's going on in the world, all that good stuff, and you can't really argue with
Wasn't that game finished?
Well, hold on. I got a lot I got to say to that. I'm not going to
put myself out there to argue with that, man. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to go
like,
in
I
on
will.
that. But
I
will. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm talking about the topic that we got right here. But this is the thing. This is odd times. What's going on with Sony right now? When you see, listen, I'm listening to my boy Knox. Knox is sounding like how we sound when we're trying to give explanations of when things are going, things doesn't seem up to snuff with Xbox. You think about that for a second. He's like, well, I don't care about this. I don't care about. He sounds just like how
I didn't say that. I didn't say I don't care about this.
No. You just said that you don't care about them not showing anything right now.
I said I'm not concerned.
It's the same thing. I mean,
I'm not the same thing, different words, man.
Yeah,
I'm not concerned. I don't find it alarming, is what I said actually, right? I don't find it alarming that they haven't revealed anything. You guys, obviously, you're making some good points, Okay. That can be taken under consideration. I don't think so. And if there are any issues, they need to just deal with them and address them.
Well, that's the point. That's the main point I'm trying to say is that I think that there's some validity to it just because of the fact that I do know that they care about imaging. You know what I'm saying? They have been very, very, they've been meticulous about how their boxes looked. I mean, just look at all the PlayStations through history and look at the only one that just wasn't up to snuff that in consideration is kind of like the stepchild of the PlayStation family, and that's the PlayStation 3. So if it's coming down to the look and they're willing to, and then on top of the fact that they just got hit with whatever that Xbox is hit, and then of course they're overclocking because they're probably first initial thought was 9.2 teraflops was absolutely perfect. That's fine. That is a huge leap from what the predecessor is, and we'll be fine. Xbox probably ain't gonna go. But when Xbox did they shit, they're like, look, we're gonna turn this bitch up. We're gonna turn it up a little bit. And now, they probably already had an image of a box that was synonymous to the PlayStation 4 because that's their most popular console next to the PlayStation 2. If anything, they probably had it look like the PlayStation 4 mixed with the PlayStation 2, which would be a hot ass console. But the fact of it is, if it's getting hot, then they're going to have to change something, and it might look more like what Xbox is giving, and that's probably where the problem lies.
The rumor of also spending more money on a cooling solution as well.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some validity to this. I'm not saying all of it is true, and I don't think, and I'm not coming out and saying that Sony is doomed and all that shit. No, because on the part of where Sony's name alone will get them through this. Now, but one thing that Sony cannot do, even, cannot do, is have their version of the Red Ring of Death, because they won't survive it.
No,
that's what they won't survive it. So that's why I know it'll get fixed. It's just that they want to have their console look familiar, just kind of like how everything else with Sony has done throughout their history looks familiar to the PlayStation fan. So it's crazy, because as long as there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, as many times I know that there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of things going on around this time. I get it. But the one big factor is that they have been too goddamn quiet, and that is not what Sony is. If you're saying that Jim Ryan is kind of like this new version of Phil, you know what I'm saying, in the sense of just being quiet, then Sony's going to be in trouble, because Phil is not what people thought Phil was. He's just was waiting for his time to let his projects get ready to flourish. So it's one of those things where I'm like, look, I would say maybe 30%, I'd say 30-40% true, and the rest is probably bullshit.
I got you, man. And it's
that's
just
a good point, though. Like that's a good point that Mega makes there, bro. About the, it is that is one thing that is unlike Sony, that they don't have a response. You know what I mean? That they usually do try to trump Microsoft. They didn't in this instance.
Yeah, and Crispy said the same thing. Like Crispy said the same thing. They came out with Gears 5. Xbox comes out with Gears 5, and
then they show Last of Us 2.
They show Last of Us 2. Like, they always had a response. Like, people
always
used to praise them for taking the wind out of the sails of Xbox. When they announced something, when
Microsoft announced the Series X, everybody's they pulled the Sony.
Right, yeah, that's exactly, that's exactly it. Because they shocked the industry.
They shocked me.
They shocked us, dude.
They shocked everyone. They shocked everyone. And as a person that is, a primarily a Xbox fan, you know what I'm saying? Plays primarily on Xbox. That was crazy. Like, I was like, whoa, it made me
I called the kids into the room. I'm like, they're gonna show the box.
When they showed Hellblade, I was like, this ain't real, bro. This ain't real. This can't be real. So, you know what I'm saying? And Sony, their only response was Godfall and a logo. I made a tweet, and it got a lot of traction. Of course, it generated a lot of hate too. But I said, if you reverse the situation, and Sony did everything that Xbox did, considering with the PlayStation 5, and Xbox did what PlayStation did, how do you think the outcome would look?
Oh, goodness.
How do you think the outcome would look? And then if you keep going on to this date right now, and Xbox is going out and saying, well, Halo is and I'm kind of giving a segue to it. Halo is they've been showing clips of Halo for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden they got to pull snatch Halo up, and then they blame it on the pandemic. How do you think that would look? How do you think that would play out?
I think the people that are compassionate and understanding right now wouldn't be so compassionate and understanding.
Exactly. Man. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's just be truthful here.
That's a brilliant move by Sony then.
Look, it's the pandemic for sympathy. This is the thing. Sony has been Sony shit. Oh yeah, hey, Sony is smart as fuck. Nobody. That's why I know that the console is going to be right when it comes out. Sony is not dumb, but the point of the matter is that just think of all these situations on the flip side, and if this was Xbox doing it, not just PlayStation. And see how the people that's crying foul and saying that everybody is making up some kind of crazy shit like they have been, how would they react towards Xbox fans at that point in time? So it's one of those things. Look, I mean, it's strategy, and it's smart by Sony because they got cover, but again, they're too goddamn quiet. And if you want people to want their system and to get excited about the system, people are mostly talking about games that's on this generation, and they don't have anything to talk about right now. If they wait until June, while Xbox has already laid out everything else, yeah, they'll still be hyped, but we'll have more people like Otter than they will be than what we've normally heard from PlayStation fans in the past.
Using Otter as an example, yo, Dark, you gotta be a proud moment for you, brother. You know?
It's really not.
well,
It's coming from K Mega, so you know it's not.
oh damn, bro, damn.
But you know I'm right.
Well, Doc, what do you think about this? You got pretty much the bulk of the information here. I think we did a good job of putting everything out there. You know what I'm saying? So this way, people can form and generally, form a grounded opinion. So what do you think, man? Do you think there's any truth to the overheating issues that might be occurring here, or is this all fluff console war BS from somebody who hates Sony?
I mean, it could possibly be a true statement, but it sounds like from what you're saying, this guy has always hated Sony. So it sounds like to me that he might just be trying to come up with this rumor just to create something, just some kind of talk about Sony, because we're not really getting much from them, right now.
Which is awkward.
Which is a little awkward, but I'm kind of in the boat of Knox. I'm not really concerned at all about what they're doing over there at Sony. I think.
Do you care though?
Not. I mean.
Oh shit!
Not really.
I never said I didn't care.
No, you know
care,
me.
Son?
I don't really care about the hardware. I care about the games that come out for it. So it's like I do like to hear about the hardware though. Because I like to know.
Well, you need the
things.
hardware to run the games, man. So.
Right, exactly. So I mean, the whole rumor of them, overheating, I'm sure it's gonna get fixed. Like if it is true, it'll get fixed. If it doesn't get fixed, then that's gonna be a huge problem for Sony. That's gonna be a lot of millions of dollars coming out of their pocket to fix all that stuff. So I'm sure if it is real right now, they're trying to find ways to fix it. And if they can't come out with a console this year, it's fine if they don't come out with it this year, because you know why? If they come out with it next year, people are still going to flock towards it, because there's a lot of people out there who are really excited about the PlayStation 5. I mean, I'm one of them. Yeah, granted, I
don't know anything about it.
Granted, I did say back in the past that I was going to buy a PS5 before I buy an Xbox, but
you didn't expect that to come back, huh?
well, right now, no, I was expecting it anyways, because I'm the one that said it in the past. I'm probably one of the biggest flip floppers in this freaking community.
With this shit, man.
Like I've said it to you guys before. I said I was the biggest flip flopper in this freaking community.
Ain't no loyalty to no brand.
Yeah, I don't have any loyalty.
No fucking loyalty. I'm
what
loyal.
have you done for me lately?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
basically for me, the same thing. I think for me it's coming down to the games, and it seems like, from what Xbox has shown me, like with Halo and Hellblade, yeah, granted they're just CGI trailers. They're not really, and Everwild, actually, I'm actually excited for that game. I know it looks cartoony. It's still something that's kind of up my alley, though.
You're a fraud, fake gamer, Dark. You like cartoony. I can't believe you.
No,
man.
I do like cartoony. I just like giving you crap about playing cartoony games. It's more fun that way.
I can see that.
But I think, from what they've showed so far, I'm invested into getting an Xbox. But of course, when PlayStation shows me something that I want to play, I'm going to go out and buy a PlayStation, even if it's just one game. That's just how I am. That's just, even if it costs me like $300, $400, I'm going to spend that money to buy that console for just that one game. That's just how I.
I think you should adopt. I think you should adopt the Don's 3-game philosophy, man.
I should, but I don't, because you know why? If I really want to play that game, I'm gonna find any way possible to play that game. I don't care what it is.
What you can do is you can sell your stockpile of toilet paper right now, and you can buy yourself a console.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not like I don't really like to say
He's
this,
like, I
but
don't use toilet paper. I jump in the shower every time I take a shit.
I just have a garden
He
hose.
got a bidet.
no,
a
I don't
bidet.
really like to throw this out there, but I'm the kind of person that doesn't have to worry about money really. So I if I want to buy something, I can go out and buy it at any point.
Okay.
But so at that moment, if I see a game that I really want, I'm gonna go out and buy that console for it. That's for a game that plays on that console. So that's not an issue for me really. I mean, pricing is an issue because I'm like thinking to myself, like, if I can get it for cheaper, I'd rather get it for cheaper. You know what I'm saying? but if it does come down to it, where they come out with the consoles and they're like $600, that's gonna hurt. But granted, I will just get the one at one moment, and then I'll get the other one later on or whatever. Because I don't really like to spend a bunch of money all at once. I just like to be like, okay, I'm gonna get this one, and then later on I'll get the next one or whatever.
I think we just confirmed that Dark Optimus is Illuminati. By the way, I'm just putting it out there. He is a part of the 1% people. Yeah. And on that note,
I wouldn't go that far, but
And he still looks at it as that, what have you done for me lately, motherfucker?
I do. I think Bot has said it in the past. I'm one of the weirdest gamers he's ever met in his entire life. So, yeah,
Pretty much.
he's right on the money on
it would
that.
make sense on why you are my homie though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
right.
am definitely there's no.
Oh, listen to that shit. He heard that you said you got money. He's like, you my homie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's definitely no mold for me as a
Bob-
YouTuber.
Bob wants Bot needs a loan, dog.
Bot
Yeah,
needs a loan,
Dark, we will be talking after the show. I just want to let you know that, man.
Hey, you remember when I put you on this podcast?
I mean, I
Golly.
take donations. I don't give them.
Oh!
Hey, and that's why he's
That's why
in the
he is
position
where he is right now.
financially.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
He said, hell no, sucker. The crowd replied, no.
Talking about caviar before off air, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Let's go to quite possibly what might be the most politically correct response to this whole thing. Let's go to the Don here. Now, Don, you heard all this information. You heard kind of like the strings that go along with this. You know what I'm saying? In terms of game journalists kind of saying that that's what they heard. There's certain things that I would think suggest that, some of this at least might be true. But what do you think about the rumor about the overheating? Do you think there's any type of validity here, or do you think this is just another like console war scheme from somebody that just hates the brand? Yeah.
I don't know where this has come from, to be honest with you. I don't understand the argument.
Well, I did say it in the beginning. Are you going to make me repeat it, man?
It
But
was
that's-
from
but that's
Twitter.
But that's the thing. It's not a very convincing argument. Is where I'm kind of coming from in regards to that. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to talk about dev kits overheating. I hate to tell you this. A lot of dev kits overheat before the consoles come out.
Well,
I can tell you right now.
You don't think they're
I
like,
guess I've
testing
seen
the home console at this point in time?
Yeah, but who has access to that?
I would like to.
But that's my point. Who has access to that? Nobody. That most likely these journalists have those connections to.
That's a great
I would
point.
assume.
That is a
Yeah.
really
So
good point, man.
so the only thing they have to go off of is really dev kits. Well, guess what? I can go to some of the studios that I know. I can go into. I can tell you right now. I can see Wii's that have been overheated. I can see PlayStation 3s, PlayStation 4s, Xbox Ones, Xbox One X. I've seen them all overheat, right? And it's not like one's better. One is doing substantially better than the other. Now, I can say this: the PS4 dev kit is loud. From what I've experienced, it is quite loud. I can't imagine that being a consumer product. And
The
it's
4
not
or the 5?
The 5. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
The 5. But then I can't see that be a consumer product because the one I saw didn't have the final chipset. That where we're going to have to, or all the feature sets, I should say, is that the PS5 that's going to hit the public. So in regards to that, so I just don't know where you can substantiate this like rumor, right? It's all like hearsay. Like even Jez, like he has connections, right? But what is his connections going to be? Third party developers, first party developers? They have dev kits, right? And to be honest with you, even on the Series X, the dev kit is different than the final product. We saw the dev kits actually at Microsoft when they were showing off with those particular YouTube personalities. They look like the old dev kits. Go back and look.
I actually said that they were using the same dev kits from the Xbox One X.
No, they're not. They're taller, so it's actually thicker in regards to that. So that's the thing. So like the form factor, even with Microsoft, their dev kits is different than the final product, right? So like, and they're more notoriously being the same, where PlayStation's known to be quite different in the final product. So it's I don't know how you substantiate those sort of things. Now you can argue maybe the cooling solution on price. I can see that argument because making a vapor chamber from scratch is not cheap. It's ridiculously expensive in regards to that. I also don't think that they're going to be able to realistically change the specs or in regards to that, like last minute, or I would say specs, but change the layout.
One of the things that they could do last minute is upclock, and they can't do that now. Like with what they did with the capped kind of like frequency, like they're when it comes to CPU GPU, they can't even upclock at any point in time anymore. That they basically did it already, right?
Well,
so they'd have to turn it down. Is that what you're saying? If they were to keep the same setup, they'd have to clock it back.
Well,
no, he said he was going to strain it, right? That's what you're implying, that it's going to strain the system.
So the clocks back that I was aware of back in October have gone up.
Okay.
So that is one thing, but you look at the whole thing where it reallocates basically GP and CPU usage. PS4, that's part of the PS4 design as well. They have something called Huma, I should say, and that was part of the API. So if there was certain tasks that were better allocated towards the GPU versus the CPU as you're hitting basically your limitations of whatever you can do on that, it would allocate that source because they had free sources on one particular portion of the chip versus the other because it's an APU, right? That's just kind of an expansion. What you're seeing now is kind of an expansion of their current concept and current design in regards to their current philosophy. So I don't think it's a last minute ditch effort to do that. You're also seeing it in other AMD tech out there with their other graphics cards. So I don't think these rumors are they're hard to go off of, right? Like there's nothing substantial that I can say, okay, that maybe they're having an issue there. The other thing is too, Sony said this back, when the PS4 Pro was released, that they want to release what their hardware looks like and kind of do more Apple-like type events closer to the final product launching. And what you're seeing from them now, regardless if you agree with it or not, in reactionary to Microsoft, they're following the same things they were doing with the Pro back then. Now, is it going to work for them or not? I mean, that's a totally different argument, right? But that does fall in the lines of basically what they said they wanted to do. And that could have been part of the new shuffling of leadership. They feel like that's the best way to show off something. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the gamers react to that, right? But it does fall in line with what we're seeing right now from them. So
nice. And guys, that is pretty much right there why you tune in to the next podcast. We have a varying panel of opinions, people making great points that go, both ways. And when it comes down to it, it makes for great discussion, great topics, and absolutely awesome. Guys, it is almost 9:15 over here on the East Coast, which is the Lord's time. We all know that. I think it's about time for us to play games. When it comes down to The Last of Us 2 being delayed, there's not too much that we can say. They're talking coronavirus. I tried to bring it into this topic. if the panel wants to talk about it anymore, we can definitely do so either next, sometime next week or on the podcast next week. But I think it's about time for gamers to get the controllers in their hands. I know my sugar level is falling in my blood right now, and I need something to eat really quick. So when it comes down to it, huge shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. My brother Christopher, man, you seemed a little edgy when we started getting into this rumor, even saying something about, that you got an Xbox One X in your apartment, but it's your doo-doo in a toilet. Like, I don't know why you would say something like that if you were trying to be a representative of a community, man. It really doesn't look good, bro. That's all I gotta say. But guys, like a 40.
Those emotions, man. These guys have been very emotional.
A little emotional there, and
they've been spoiled this whole generation by people holding their hands, kind of like some of their single player experiences. The fact of it is now, what's going to happen is that reality is setting in that this console is not going. A lot of the things and features that the PlayStation 4 had, or what they said, that they got away with because of media or whatever, so forth, those things is going to be washed away this generation, and they don't know how to handle it. And listen, if you love the PlayStation like you say you do, then enjoy the PlayStation for what it is. And that's all I should say as a gamer. Look, man, don't get mad at Xbox gamers because they're bragging and they're excited and they feel they're just excited about everything that they've seen and heard so far. I mean, and then when the games drop and then it's going to be more excited, just be cool about PlayStation VR, PlayStation 5 coming and everything and what they're going to show. Why the hell are you even tripping? I mean, it to me it's kind of childish, brother. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
I just found
we still got love. We still got love for you, bro.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You still got the wrench by your name, brother. When it comes down to it, I gave you the power. You have been really responsible with it. I'm just saying that if you're gonna represent like a certain community out there, you might not want to just automatically go to name calling and stuff like that. I didn't call anybody any names or anything reporting on the rumor or anything like that, but yet, when it comes down to it, you felt the need, like, just to let you know, name slinging is a sign of insecurity, brother. I just
you're losing the argument right when you start name calling right off the bat.
I mean, let's just be honest. Not all of us really agreed on this panel on this situation.
No, everybody had it, and everybody talked it out.
We're gonna game after this, and it's no big deal.
Damn right, damn right. So I mean, let's be happy, man.
Well, I mean, we are, but Bot, he never games with us, so.
He does that part. He does that part. No, you're right.
Well, Chris did represent with this though. He said,
we have to talk about something on the next podcast. Somebody is going to surpass you in Spartan rank pretty soon here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somebody's already tied with you.
Yo, brother,
right now
you got my phone number. Call me when you hit 152, man. I don't even care if you pass me. Just call me when you hit 152, man.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna call you when I hit it.
Man, I'm just gonna drag you along with me, man. We're gonna go to 152 together.
Kicking and screaming, man.
Kicking and screaming.
Yes, smart.
Yo. Guys, on that note, like a 40-year-old with a comb over, we gotta get those plugs in. And I'm gonna start with the man. Like I said, I haven't been able to talk with him for a while. He's been really busy over there in NYC, trying to help out, people, especially in his job and everything like that. Brother, thank you for doing what you do. And of course, I am talking about Knoxximus. Knox, as always, man, absolute pleasure. You come in with so much energy. You have an opinion. You're not afraid to show it. And just for the record, you never said you didn't care. So let people know.
Never said it.
Let people know where they can go to talk games with you, bro. It was a blast having you on again. And you already know, man, you're a part of the family. The door's open anytime you can and want to jump in on the show, yeah.
Oh, no, man. Good looking, my brother. It's always wonderful to be on the next podcast, brother. This is the shit right here.
Oh, yeah.
This the spot right here. But, yeah, man, it was great, man. It was, great show, great panel, great chat. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. And like I said, Knoxximus1 on everything, at D Knox on Twitter. and Knox We Trust right here on YouTube. Hopefully it'll come back soon, man.
Yeah, I'm waiting, man. I'm first in line for that one.
I'm gonna try to make it happen.
Nice, bro. No pressure though. No pressure. I know you got a lot. You got a lot on the table.
I'm swamped, bro. Yep.
I'm not trying to force you here, yo. But yeah, it is one of my favorite channels on YouTube, and I just want to
appreciate that, my brother. Appreciate that.
No doubt. And we'll go to one of my mid-tier YouTube channels, which would be K Mega 405. But he is burning it up on Mixer with the podcast. You got to let people know about that. You got to let people know, because I know there were some people looking for the show last night. So, let them know what's going on with GRG. Let them know about your YouTube channel and where they can go to talk games with you, bro.
Man, yeah, you can check the GRG podcast live on Mixer. Last night was crazy, man. I was not expecting that, man. I mean, it was pretty damn dope. You know what I'm saying?
I love putting stickers in the chat, man. It's like one of my favorite things.
It is a whole different experience, and I'm glad for it. So I actually, getting that copyright strike, you know what I'm saying, for whatever I know the crazy reason for, but yeah, man, it just made for other avenues and for me to do the live show there, where we have a lot more freedom. But yeah, no, it was a great show. And then I'm still putting the GRG podcast on my channel on YouTube. I already uploaded it. So if you did not catch the live show on Mixer, you can check the live show on Mixer. It's still there. But it's only there for, I think, for about 14 days.
Yeah, 14 days.
Yeah, for about 14 days. But it's all. But I already got it uploaded on my channel. So if you missed it, you can check either one. And the Devin the Gamer, I'm pretty sure. I think we're going to go. I think the live going on Mixer is probably the best solution as well too.
Oh, I got plans for us.
Yeah,
There's some big plans coming now.
Yeah, like I see so much potential going off of a Mixer. So
you said Devin the Gamer?
Yeah, Devin the Gamer. We'll do it live there.
We're gonna do game sharing on Devin the Gamer.
Yeah.
When we're doing live on the podcast.
Yes.
Dude, I always look at Devin the Gamer like a mythical creature, kind of like Scalebound being in development, man. You know what I'm saying?
The one difference here is that the developers for the game, we at least show and prove, and we do something. We don't get drunk and then ask for Phil Spencer to give the game to us. Anyway. Fuck you, Platinum. Anyway, so no, but you can check out my channel and also on Twitter, at KMega4. It's it's been a fun ride, man. I've been enjoying this, through the good and the bad and the ugly. I will speak my mind just like everybody else on this panel, and that's why I love doing the next podcast. That's why I love doing GRG, and because we can speak our mind and everybody go and do what we do and still be cool about it without acting overly ignorant. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about race tracing, man.
Talk about race tracing. Shout out to my boy 100 and shout out to my boy Lemetheus from the Zeus, man. He's getting over his sickness out there, man. He was sounding horrible last week. He sounded a lot better last night. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm praying for all those people that's going through this and dealing with it. So, grab a controller, game.
Hopefully
do
you
the
learn
most.
to stop licking that bus steering wheel, man. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man. I'm saying going to damn Fitch markets, keep his ass at home. So.
No, he's been collecting the bubble gum underneath the seats, is what it's.
Probably that's where the song goes. That's
still got
going
flavor,
on.
Man.
On the short bus.
No. It's you know what? I'm gonna let Lemon take that. I'm gonna invite you
You're not
on.
allowed to talk about Lemon. And
I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna make you as another.
Oh, I thought you were talking about 100. I was like,
oh shit.
Oh, shout out to GRG, the whole crew.
Shout out to the family, man. Anyway.
All right, and I got to get to this guy because he probably wants to get the hell out of here. My brother Predator coming in and dropping some knowledge as usual every Saturday. Yo, Pred, I heard you're going to be on a show next week. I don't know if you know about it yet, but I heard you're going to be on a show next week. I don't know if you do know about it. You might want to share it with people. But other than that, where can people go to talk games with you, bro?
Yeah, I'll be on next podcast on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'll be on Crossfire this Friday. It's been a while since I've been on there. Had to send Mooch some hate mail, and so he was like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've been on in a while." So I should be on Crossfire Friday if everything works out.
He said it last
this
night,
week
bro.
would work. And yeah, he told me I was gonna be on there. He didn't officially tell me, but I'm gonna be there if my schedule works out. So see y'all next week. Predator _ H2S pretty much everywhere, and have a good weekend.
Nice. Dark Optimus, aka Angry Otter, man. I don't know what's going on, like, with you and saving the world, dude. I don't know if you're on vacation, but I think we need you right now, man. You got to get back on the grind with that whole thing. But while you're doing,
man, people didn't appreciate it. Fuck them people.
Yo, he's done. Yo, this is the Angry Otter Unchained right now, man. Yo, Dark, why don't you let people know where they can go to talk games with you, bro?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Xbox and PlayStation and Twitter at Dark Optimus. Yeah, man, don't have anything going on. I mean, I'll probably be on some podcasts this week. I don't know. If anybody wants to hit me up, let me know. I mean, I'm at home right now. I can't really do anything.
He's like, I'm available, guys.
Yeah, I'm available, guys. Like, you know, like
dude, that's the way I've been feeling lately, man. Usually, I get like people be like, "Yo, can you come on the show and this and that?" And
I was surprised you didn't have like a midweek podcast or something, because I know sometimes you do that.
Well, yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm a little iffy with the situation going on, because I see a lot of people kind of like doing extra shows and stuff. I'd rather do more live streams on like Mixer and stuff like that, because I don't want to take advantage of the situation with like the monetizing and all that good stuff. I know a lot of people are like, more entertainment and stuff, but I feel awkward kind of like making money off of the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't want to do that. So
yeah, just let people decide what they want to do with their money. That's what I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
How'd you
Just
learn
let them
that
do
the
what they
hard way, man? I don't.
I got criticized for not having donations available on my Mixer channel before. So.
Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking something else, man. Like, but we won't even go down that route. Yo, I gotta get to my boy Crispy. Yo, Crispy, my brother, dude. As usual, never afraid to share your opinion. Came in with some awesome comments to the topics we had. As usual, do this every week. And you did also bring Gears into it at some point in time, which was good.
Yeah, well, I've been slacking on that.
Yeah,
just saying.
Brought it back, man. I think people. I think you have a fan in Norway as well. Like, I saw the comments to last week's show, and somebody was like, "Yo, I heard what Crispy said, every word, and he did nothing but make sense." So you got fans out there as well. So you got to let them know, other shows you're on, and of course where they can go to talk games with you, bro.
I like to know if he can make sense while he's sober.
Oh, you don't know.
He did it
I
today.
do morning podcasts too, mother trucker.
He
you think I'm drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning?
I don't think he was drinking tonight.
I'm drinking coffee. I need that caffeine, bro. I need that caffeine so I can eat your soul.
I feel like you're the kind of person that drinks and you're just like, it's 12 o'clock somewhere.
No. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's the point.
Oh, 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. But you can find me at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 on Xbox Live, and by all means, hit us up on Retro Renegades Tuesday nights. I took a hiatus this past week, but I will be back and better than ever. The devil's in the house, Dark. Just saying. And you can always find me here. Next podcast, Saturday night, 7 p.m.
Nice, brother. And I gotta like clarify this, man. I don't think you were drinking anything alcoholic tonight. Am I right?
You're wrong completely.
Oh, damn.
That's why he was making so much sense today.
Yeah, he wasn't drinking as much. Hey, now let me tell you something. I have to say this. 100 was in the same zone, right? Like, he was just getting started, so he was doing, man, articulate as hell, man. Everybody was being articulate and talking, saying big ass words. Slayer said a word that I ain't never even heard of. I had to look at the dictionary for that shit. It was pretty impressive, pretty damn impressive. So,
dude,
yeah,
I'm not that drunk, Dark. That's what I'm saying. I'm not that drunk. I'm not like where I'm going. Oh,
no.
shit! I can't keep doing this.
Yo, guys, on that note, it is the weekend. Gamers Got a Game. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I definitely do appreciate it. If you haven't done it yet, definitely hit that thumbs up button. It helps, the more thumbs up we get, it helps getting the show out there to a broader audience, getting more new people into the show to check it out live, more people to talk games with. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why we go live. That's why you guys show up here. We're all gamers just talking about, the hobby and the lifestyle that we love. As usual, it's been an absolute blast. But I'm going to end the show the way I do every week. We will see you next Saturday for the next podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Man, we forgot my outro.
Oh.
Oh.
Damn, come on.